So basically that day I shared some knowledge on stage. It was a quick debriefing of a training. I usually do a little longer training. I'm gonna run through, basically a set of slides, and basically we call this, or I call this, set up for success, right? How do you, kind of prep yourself uh, before, during, and after your solar presentation to make sure that you have a consistent, systematic, way of showing your customer your knowledge in solar and tending to their concerns. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Let me know when you're okay. Super. Okay. Basically, this is where we actually take that preparation to go set up for success at our solar, presentation. So first off, game is always on. So you are always ready for what's coming next, right? You have to be prepared, right? You're early for your, and this is tending to like a solar appointment, right? You're going either into a customer's house for a solar in-house solar presentation, or you're doing a Zoom one-on-one, because I take those just as if I was in the customer's house, right? I take them super personal. I make that straddling connection with the customer to make sure that we are engaging constantly in the conversation. So, you want to be ready for that. You want to be early. You want to have your proposal ready ahead of time, as much as you can, right? There's things that you may want to change or tweak when you're with the customer, but please try to kind of prepare your proposal into your way, right? The way you think it's going to go, even if you tweak it a little bit more when you're with the customer, but have 95% of the work done, right? That will make you look professional and make you look ready for, educated about your customer, right? Another thing I call preparedness. It's having your shirt, right? We use our freedom shirts we're using today, me and Anthony, and then many more that use those today. But we also, if not, I have a polo shirt that says Power branded here with my Inc. 500 branding from the company, just to make sure that the customer feels aware that it's not only me, myself, selling him solar, that we are a company that's capable of delivering a successful product for him. So we have an image to care, and we have a brand that we represent. So accordingly, we do that. All right. So next we kind of go to setting the mood. So first we do the introductions, and we kind of go to getting to know the customer a little bit, even before we talk business or solar, right? And then we start setting the mood. This is a cool quote I use for that preparedness thing, because it's always better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity show up to you guys and not be ready, right? Some customers may want to see that proposal right away. No, take me to the numbers, because I want to really go. I've seen 5 guys before. Don't send me on solar. Take me straight to the numbers. You want to be ready. You don't want to be shuffling. No, oh, hold on. Let me know. I'm not that ready yet. I was, that's what I mean to be prepared, is to have that ability to be ready for your customer. So setting the mood means, always be courteous, right? Always be complimenting, creating that conversation, right? If you're in the house, compliment the house accordingly, or the pets, or kind of look for affinities or common things that you have with your customer. Remember, this guy, he might be meeting you for the first time, and you're going to be there for 45 minutes to an hour, and you're going to end up leaving with a signed contract for a $50,000 or a $60,000 project. So you need to those first 3 to 5 minutes are crucial in the development of the rest of the presentation, because that's where you click with this guy, right? Or this family. This is where you start seeing the home, start seeing their lifestyle. What do they like? What do they don't like? Start talking about Is it hot outside? How has it been, the utility bills lately? Just start talking, creating that good conversation with your customer, because getting to know your customer is going to set up to what your next step would be, right? Because once you're starting to get into a conversation about what we're here to do, then you'll move from setting the mood to getting ready to educate. Right now you start shifting your attention into setting yourself in the table, at a dinner table, at a place that you're comfortable, that you have the customer right in front of you or next to you, that you can see him right across from you, and you can see his face and you can talk to him personally. But this is the time where you listen. Before you start educating, you have to listen. So you create this conversation where you start developing what are you here for, right? I always tell my customers, what are your expectations of this solar meeting, right? Why, if you've seen 2-3 proposals, why haven't you gone solar yet, right? What part of solar you did not like, or why am I here if you're really also on solar? And sometimes you just ask the question and kind of lean back and wait for them to come back, right? You need to have them acknowledge that there's definitely a problem with the current utility, that they are paying over money on energy cost constantly. They have to agree that their inflation is definitely consuming our daily expenses. This was a record-breaking inflation year. So we want to establish things today so they understand that what they're doing is not the best thing, right? That they're paying unpredictable rates, that their utility goes up 4, 5, 6, 10% a year, right? You want to hear this from them because this is their pain. This is what you're there to solve, right? So once you start hearing, where this customer needs your help, that's when you start going back and talking to him, right? Now you start setting your appointment expectations, right? Establish what you're there to do and set the agenda of what's about to happen, right? I always tell my customers, okay, well, this is what's going to happen next. Now that I know where you are with this energy theme, I'm going to tell you what we'll do next. We're going to watch I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint where I will show you all of the benefits of solar, all of the value that solar brings to your home and your family. And then just after we've seen all of that, you will see your actual home proposal, right? And I don't show them numbers or anything until they're asking for them. Because when they're asking for them, it's because they already are sold on the value of solar. If you sell value over numbers, you will always have the advantage on your customer because you'll have the knowledge and you have the right things that he'll be looking for. Another thing, while you're going through this education process for your customer, keep in check your timelines, right? Don't over talk. Don't be that guy that don't listen to your customer. On the other hand, make sure that you're always listening to that customer, because that's going to give you the key to start on your education. So when I'm going through that conversation and I'm ready to present my proposal, I open, we have a resource from POWUR. We have a PowerPoint about, all the benefits of solar. That's the one I run now. So basically I establish myself as, my experience, who is Moises Garip, what do I bring, what value Moises brings to this family, right? Well, I'm a solar expert. I've been doing solar residential for 15 years, right? I'm fully bilingual. I'm a battery certified expert. So I tell them the things that add value personally of what I can bring to them, so that they understand that they're dealing with a professional that's educated, that knows his stuff, that's been doing it for a while, right? I explained to him that we live off the referrals, so that he knows that we are very personal with our customers. Always mentioning my referrals, throughout my conversations, because this is part of that. At the end, I'm able to collect some new referrals from this customer. So I established the company as as of yesterday, the number 61st fastest growing company in the United States. but as of today, number 43, fastest growing company in the United States. So I make sure that the customer understand the importance of being, you know, categorized in this KPI for a company, whereas, you know, we're competing with 40 million companies around the United States and we're number 43. It's a big number, right? So, you know, give them the confidence, give this customer the feeling that he's in good hands, right? We're a national company, we're fasting, growing very fast, we have our best warranties. A little bit, I don't go through the whole power care there, but I tell them that we have the best warranties and the best financing, and that our platforms, all it does is connect the customers with the best product at the best pricing, right? I start giving them the value of what we do as a company on our platform, so we can start seeing a solution to the problem that we talked about earlier when he was telling me how much in pain he was with that new, you know, summer $400 bill. I was talking to one yesterday, $491. He just got the bill. I spoke to him 2 or 3 months ago. He called me yesterday himself. Shoot, I just got a bill for $491. Can you please help? Right? He knew he had a problem. So we discussed the problem with the customer. You know, we showed the utility trends on, you know, how bad are this utility going up year over year. We discussed, you know, the increase in those costs. We discussed the pollution that they're contributing to our planet, right? How much damage they're doing, and how expensive it gets, and how zero benefit we get from it. The only thing we get from a utility, it's expensive power that we already used and we're paying for, right? But there's no value and there's nothing in it. So I start discussing the benefits of ownership. I don't like leases myself personally, you know, but I over push what we do on ownership, because when you own your solar system, it's when you really add the value. So then we start talking about savings and how much savings could generate, you know, and we start talking averages. Here, I'm not seeing his numbers yet. I'm only giving him, you know, rough saving numbers, right? Hey, you'll be saving 20, 30, 40% of your bills. That would sound good, right? All of this while getting, you know, solar tax credit that's going to be 26%. And I start going through some of the things, giving them the value and telling him that there's no, you know, out-of-pocket expenses. I tell them about the qualification process, you know, that we need to have ownership of the house. So I kind of do while I'm doing this presentation on value of solar, I'm also at the same time mentally doing a checklist in my mind. So now I know he's Untitled. I know he's got the credit qualification. I know he's interested in the savings, or I identify what's the trigger that this customer is interested in. Some customers are interested in the tax credit. Some customers are interested in the year incentive. Some customers, they just don't care. They just want to save some money and have a shorter term loan. So when you're having these conversations with your customers, is where you kind of determine where you go with it, right? So, you know, once we do the process about telling him about all the qualifications and how, you know, the credit works and so on, we kind of start moving, and we are clear here. By the end of my education, this customer is already buying, right? And what I mean by that is that right now, you know, all I'm doing is validating information with him, having him agree with me in the problem that he has and the solution that I bring, because now all he wants to see is numbers. Okay, show me the number. Any questions? No, I don't have any questions. So right now, if I can give you ownership with savings, with added value to your home, right, at a fixed price with no money out of pocket, would you go solar? Of course, because now he understands the value of solar. Now the numbers we're about to see are not even that important. If we sold on value, what's coming next, it's an automatic, right? It's a secondary education about what he can be doing better, right? And how we can make that happen seamlessly without any pains, with an easy qualification and an easy process. So I go to no more questions. I go to my solar proposal, right? And we've all seen some of these before, right? Basically, I initiate that conversation by validating with my customer that I do have in that first page that's not here. we have customers' name, complete name, email, phone number. I go through that before I do nothing. I make sure that I have the right email for my customer, that his name is spelled correctly, that I have his right phone number there, because everything else, after I'm down at the bottom and I want to hit qualify when this guy is ready to go solar, I don't want to have to go back and have to fix, my name because it's misspelled, right? Or I got to change the last name because I used a wrong last name. Those are the things that we want to make sure we do prior to showing this guy the numbers, because once we show the numbers, we're ready to move forward. My next step will be kind of take him to the close. And if I have a wrong name or a wrong email, I cannot take him to the close because I cannot send documents to a wrong email. So validate the information with your customers. That will avoid credit declines. That will avoid change orders on future things. It's better to be clear than to kind of fix it later. It would probably even avoid cancellations at some point if a couple of days go by and you have to go back to a customer and redo the whole set of documents because you made a mistake on something, right? So then I go to my what we call our pre-design, right? I discuss the panel arrangement with the customer on his roof, and I always say, hey, this is not a final design. This is a preliminary drawing, kind of determining where we think the best energy output comes from this solar for you, so that we can model the numbers that we can present to you. But at the end, I'll explain to him that we have a professional go to their house to actually measure the roof and validate that everything we did, it's according to what we can install there. Unless I'm doing the virtual site survey and I use a different process for that, okay? On virtual site survey, if I'm doing it or the customer is doing it, we'll kind of go through. I cannot determine if he's able to do it on my prior presentation before we do the solar closing. So I discussed the kilowatt capacity proposed, how much energy consumption he has, how much offset we're going to offer him based upon what we have on the system production as of right now. I will show and explain the consumption and the offset, the net metering, right? It's important to, depending on where we are operating, Florida, Texas, California, there are net metering rules in different, by different providers. So make sure that you have verified your customer's utility prior to have them commit to the contract, and make sure that you have a net metering friendly utility you're dealing with. I think recently we took out a couple of lists of utilities that we kind of avoid working with because of bad net metering processes, but stay on top of those because net metering is key. If you're working in Texas, you know that Texas has a zillion, utilities. Some of them don't have good net metering, some do. So if you have one that doesn't, you can change it in Texas, so you can, kind of take that to your customer and make sure that he gets the right one, so he can get the most benefit out of the, net metering program in his utility. So basically, once we go through the numbers and I explain to him how the monthly payment works based upon the loan that we're using, right? I explained to him how the use of the tax credit towards the purchase of that system works. So I really go in detail here because the customer, we're about to sign a $50,000 loan, and we're going to fix him at a payment that's fixed for the first 18 months based upon him using a tax credit to kind of offset 26%, well now 30% of this solar installation to keep that low payment, right? So I tell him, hey, if you pursue this tax credit and you do not apply it to your loan, I always uncheck that check mark there to make sure my customer sees the number with the payment that did not include the tax credit. And that is super important because when he gets loan documents from whoever bank we're using, he's going to see those two numbers. And if you weren't clear enough here, that's where your sale ends. he's not gonna be happy seeing a $300 payment when you told him 235 because you did not explain to him what happened with the solar tax credit. How is it applied? What happens if I don't apply it? You have to run through those. Even though we're not tax consultants, we tell them the scenarios. Well, if you are able to claim it and you use it, your payment stays fixed. If you are able to claim it and don't use it, then your payment goes up to 300, right? If you don't qualify, then you cannot apply it. So your payment will be the first 18 months, and it will automatically go up to that if you're a non-qualifier. So I kind of give them all the scenarios, and then I always tend to tell them, when you do your taxes, talk to your accountant professional, and he'll tell you the best way to claim that credit. And I leave it to them because at the end, we're not tax professionals, and we don't want to commit or oversay something that that might come back to us for maybe leading a customer to doing something knowing that he doesn't qualify. So if I doubt, I'd rather have him verify his stuff just to make sure, because at the end, you'd rather have happy installed customers that knew set timelines for delivery. So usually I run numbers with my customers. I continuously ask them about questions. Do you have questions with the tax credit? Do you have questions with the financing? Right? I be answering all of these questions throughout my presentation, so that when I'm done at the end, there's really not much to do. What comes next, in essence, it's my closing. So if I'm going through my proposal and we discuss financing terms and he likes the numbers and we went through the tax credit and he understood how that works, then I show him a little bit of the value of the home and of the process of getting him to contract and the checklist of getting him completed signed. And if he doesn't have any questions by then, I assume the sale. So I go to my closing, right away. I will tell him, okay, well, then the next steps are, to get you qualified. Now that I know he's a homeowner, he's entitled, he's got the credit, right? He understood my proposal 100%. He's ready to go. He just needs that extra push, and not a push, because I'm not a pushy sales. This guy, if we did our job selling our value on solar earlier, this will happen automatically. You will see a transition into like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Right? If you still feel uncomfortable getting that close and telling him, well, let's get you qualified, ask him, right? What will hold you from getting this done tonight? Do you still have any questions? No. Well, then let's get you qualified, because that's what next. And then, we have such an easy process for qualification, whereas most of our banks don't even check their credit initially to get them qualified. So it's an easy soft sale for them to say, well, let's get qualified. Because once they qualify, they can really mentally start visualizing their project. That's what you want. You want them to know, not to think, but to know that this project is a reality, or it can be a reality. So this is where it starts to sink in that the project is possible, and that the savings are going to be there, and that he can do this with no money out of pocket because he was just approved. And there's, it makes the project a reality. So even if he's in a little bit in the line, I don't hesitate, right? I get him qualified. I send them loan documents right away. I make sure he opens them with me in front of him, if possible. Even if we're on a Zoom, I have him open them up and I say, please review them and make sure that the numbers are exactly the numbers that you and I discussed on your proposals. And if you have any questions, we'll go through them. And I give him a couple of minutes so he can review. And if he comes back with no questions, then we'll say, okay, now next, get the signatures done and kind of get you started in the process of completing the loan docs while I send you the HOI contract, which is our installation agreement. And I'll tell him that will include the system description, and I go through my warranties and all of that. All of it while building this relationship with this customer right? That at the end, it doesn't feel like it's a sale, right? Most of these customers, become my friends, right? We met at the event, and, just like I met Anthony, and we kind of click. I kind of look for that clicking connection with my customer when I meet him initially, right? It only takes, a minute to kind of click with your guy and know that you have a solid relationship with your customer. You'll know it right away, right? I've seen customers that are most of the presentation like that, kind of playing poker, not telling you anything. But once you start seeing them, kind of get relaxed and kind of get more with you, then he's taking his defenses down, and that means he's starting to trust you a little bit. So feel free to take that next step and ask for that close, ask for that qualification, right? It will won't be a surprise that he says, yeah, sure, let's get qualified. My social is 583, blah 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 blah, and he'll give you the numbers, right? So once you send whoops, I think my light kind of went off. There you go. So once you kind of get him qualified and you send the documents to him, while he's signing, you make sure that you run that checklist, right? Make sure that you have the clear power bill already uploaded in the platform. If you have a partial bill, make sure that you get a full copy of your bill. Make sure that you have a copy of the customer's ID, and make sure that you clear any stipulations that you got from the bank, if you did got any. Most of the times we're getting very little stipulations from our banks, or at least the ones I'm using. I haven't seen much tips lately. So, clear your stipulations, get your documents signed, and start building that relationship towards what? Towards your ambassadors, right? Towards becoming a referee for you. Ask for that extra business. Tell them, hey, I gave you a good deal today, or kind of negotiate that into your deal from the beginning. Hey, we're running these promos, but it's all based on, getting referrals from our customers, and start embedding that into the customer's mind, so that when you're done at the end and you want to kind of ask him for those referrals, you feel comfortable because you already told them that's how you work. You did a good presentation, solid delivery of the information, solid delivery of your knowledge, right? Confident on your product, confident on your company, confident on your delivery, because your customers don't buy PowerPoints, right? They buy you. They buy your personality. They buy your knowledge of the product, your knowledge of the of the industry. If anything, it's really good to use your mentor program. I love the mentorship program because it gives a newbie the ability to bring a very experienced seller to the table to help him transition and learn from him. Whereas his customer, if he would have gone by himself, more than likely would have not even given him the time of day. In the first 15, 20 minutes, customer would have probably lost interest because he would have noticed that he lacked the experience, that he lacked some of the information. And that's why, our program works so well into training our force, is that gives them the force, right? It pushes them to be at the same level of a guy like us, and we can present together. And then, the customer feels, wow, now, this guy is ready. He's coming with, a guy that's been doing this for 15 years. He's got the experience, right? He's got the trajectory. Customers like that. It makes them feel comfortable. So, at the end, this is basically, how I run my consultations with my customers, depending usually on my first conversation with them on how much they do know about solar. That's how I determine how much I give them where, right? If they do know much about solar, I'll give them that less in the front and give them more value about the company and the proposal at the end. If they don't know about solar, then I focus on my first part of the presentation, whereas I, give them more of the value of solar, all of the value of solar, and then the other one, it's easy. So, keep in mind that your ears are the most important part of this solar presentation, because you are going to listen from your customer if you are paying attention. What is that you're there to do? What is his expectation? And what outcome is he expecting to get from this? What results? right? And if you can bring that and determine that from that conversation with your customer, you have a win and a successful proposal. So thank you guys for being here tonight. I'm gonna open up, Anthony. I want to see if anybody have any questions or comments about this process of what we have been talking. It will be glad to answer questions live. We have a few minutes to run, so let me know if you want to mic up.
Yeah, so I do see a comment from Chris, and yeah, guys, please, if you have any questions, Moises, how long have you been doing this? 15 years?
Yeah, I've been in the industry since I was counting yesterday, 2008, August 2008.
Oh, yeah. So he's been in it a long time, longer than me. So please, if you have any questions, ask him. I did see Chris Harris. He said, trust, it's an easy yes when you do build that trust. Easier to get a yes from a customer. That's true. Bo did ask, and I think all of us kind of hate hearing this because it's on us. But at the end of your presentation, when you hear, I want to think about it, or send me a copy of the proposal, I'll review it and get back to you. What is your response to that?
Then there's something missing there, right? Then there is more than thinking about it. Then you're missing an objection that you haven't found yet. So, good guy comes back at your customer and say, hey, what is there to think about? What do what's your concern? Because if you tell me, I'll clear for you. Even if you think afterwards, let me clear that concern now, because then you can really think about it, right? If you go without the right information, you're gonna think wrong. And I tell him, and he's like, oh, you're right. Well, I didn't like the price, Then you have the objection. Oh, okay, it's pricing. All right, now we have it, right? Now I go back at why my pricing, even though it might be higher, I bring more value. And then I go back at selling my value, selling my company, selling my warranties, right? Selling myself, right? My backing him up. If he was referred to me by Anthony, I would be selling Anthony. Hey, Anthony sent you my way because he knows that I'm the guy for your job, right? He used me before. So I retouch those points that, finding out what the real objection is, it's the key,
Right. Good. Dana had a question. How do you differentiate your value over the competition? Every company talks value. Do you have specifics into that you can provide?
Of course. And I think, not everybody has the credentials that we have as a company. So leverage who we are. Leverage that we have our, not every company has a 30-year power care, warranty with in-house service for the customers with the coverage that we have. Oh, sell the shit out of that. Nobody has it, right? Use the things that differentiate us as a company. Sell the value of that we have a national company, and we have probably the best rates of every finance solar bank, because our rates are better because of the value and the volume that we buy from these banks, right? How much we issue. So, companies differ themselves. If I'm competing with a local company, and I don't trash companies, I won't say, oh, he's a bad company, unless he's really a bad company, that, and I know for a fact that he's a bad company, I may. But it's gonna be, officially known by me, and I'm saying it because I know it's a fact, But I don't like trashing companies. I'll just say, hey, local installer John Solar is super good guy, man. He's a local installer. More than likely he's doing a good job, right? But in 5 years, when he's bought out by a company like ours and he's not there anymore, who are you going to call for service? You don't know where you are. When you are with us, you'll know you'll be with us, right? We'll have an app. I said the value again. I have an app, customer, that you'll have, that you'll be able to talk to our customer service representatives 24 hours a day. You'll be able to do claims for insurance for your leaking roof if it's leaking. You'll be able to monitor your system on our POWUR app. Right? I'll give him the stuff that I know competition doesn't have, right? And I start making sure that he understands that that's not what he heard from the next door guy, right? Do you agree that my company, it's a solid company? We're a Better Business Bureau A+ certified company. Not everybody can say that, right? We are 5 stars in Yelp. We are a public benefit company. We're not, and I tell them this clear, we're not a for-profit company. We are a public benefit company, and there's a big difference, my friend. Go to Google and find out. And when they do, they know, they find and they read, they say, wow, this is really a different company. They're not here all for the money. They're really making an impact, and they have a bigger vision and mission behind it than only making money. Yeah, of course, money is where, how we pay our bills and how we make our living, but the impact that we create based on the value of our company is much, much more. And I kind of oversell that a little bit just so the client understands that we're not your regular Joe solar, local partner, right? Even sometimes I tell him, hey, he might be our local installer, and I don't even know. He might, and it's happened to me before. I've sold a customer that had another contract about to sign from another local company. He ended up signing with us, and when the company showed up to install, it was the company he had canceled on. But I sold on the value of my company, which was bigger than the value he was offering, even though he was the same installer, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that shows you right there that what I sell is the value of the company, and it doesn't matter who I'm against, I'm always the best.
Right. Awesome. That is awesome. Rich, did you have something?
And Moses, hey, thank you for the training. Thank you for the information. It's been great. Always, always great to hear from you and see you. I guess my question would be, and I've got, two guys on the call tonight that are brand new. One's a week, another one's a couple months and stuff. Myself and them, none of us have solar background. So you talk a lot about selling the value, and you've got that value of, you've got that background stuff for it. I guess to me it's what recommendations or thoughts do you give to guys like myself and the two I got in the call that our backgrounds aren't solar, so it's selling that value,
Rich, it's education. It's education. It's something that's going to come to you, the more you work on your craft. Right? This is like every other trade, right? It's like the basketball player. If he doesn't practice 100 shots a day, he will miss every time he shoots, right? So you have to get your craft. You have to practice it. You have to find your drive, right? Your why. This is why we practice this stuff, right? Because that's your inner fire that's going to push you through against. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. You're like I say, my company is always better. Right? Because I have the value. I have proven results with my company to talk the way I talk, right? I'm not talking because I'm just bluffing. I can show you my results. I can show you my 30-day installation. I can show you my 30-year warranty. These are facts, right? And when you're talking with facts, there's no debate, right? And if there's no debate, then I'm winning. And the customer, and not that I'm winning in the face of the customer, I'm winning in my own head, right? I let the customer decide. I know I'm arguing the right stuff, so I'm always bringing even a little more value here and there. And at the end of the conversation, those little bits, those little nuggets I was talking throughout the whole hour, they all come into a big block of gold at the end.
Right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And let me tell you something. I'm a self-taught solar professional. So when I started solar 15 years ago, the first thing I did to the guy that invited me to his office, who was a good friend of mine who's still in solar today, was asking him to get me the book that his engineer had studied to install renewable energy. And I went a whole month and read 500 pages books about energy, about how it worked, how about solar work. And this is in 2008 when we didn't have Enphase and we didn't have batteries, none of that stuff. We were really studying like an engineer used to study for solar, and we were going to sell solar. But if I did not understood how this works and I did not saw the value in it myself, how was I going to sell that to a customer? So work on your craft. You have to trust what you say. You have to know your stuff so that you feel confident doing that delivery.
Thank you.
I do see it's almost 10 o'clock for you over there. So I appreciate your time. But I did want to bring up, and I text you about this, but Puerto Rico. So you are pioneering the launch of Puerto Rico. Word around is that you guys are already starting to recruit out there. So what updates do you have for us? Because we have some strong Spanish speakers on our team on this call, and yeah, they're just salivating
Well,
right now.
quick teaser, we're doing well. We have installers already, in Puerto Rico ready to install for us. We, have a few more details to go to make sure that we are ready to deploy installs, but we're not far. We're weeks away, 2, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. So I see that date of October really, really achievable. Had meetings this week with, high level stuff about Puerto Rico, and I think we're closer than I thought. Let's put it that way. I don't want to make any commitments or tell you nothing out of the ordinary. The date stays officially the same for now. It's Q4, so that means October 1st forward any moment. I say in the next 2 weeks are gonna really determine how, what that date looks like and how do
Right.
we deploy it. But I think we will, you'll see this live somewhere. Big announcement either from the studio in San Diego that we can go there and maybe do a power hour there on a Monday night prior to opening Puerto Rico, or doing a huge event in Puerto Rico in live. I don't know. I don't know what's how we're gonna launch it yet. But knowing Bobby Smith and team in Power, I'm sure they have something special for us. So let's see.
Awesome. And then I know Dana said we're going with you, so yeah, we're going with you, brother. But
Hey, Dana, we're going.
But I know you told us when we're at Power World, you kind of told us like what the rates are looking like, what the install times are looking like. So you want to
Let me
give
give you
some of us an idea?
yeah, man, a quick overview of Puerto Rico. Just on a Puerto Rico on a nutshell. And I was just there for 2 weeks. Energy cost in Puerto Rico 35 cents kilowatt hour. First of all, most 90% of the installations will require battery. So different. I mean, it's a different market, guys. So it's going to be a great market, but again, study your craft. It's going to be about knowing what you're doing, because Puerto Rico is full of professionals that you're going to look foolish if you don't know what you're talking to a customer that has talked to a guy like me before you. There's
Right.
many people in Puerto Rico with 10, 12 years experience. I mean, I've
Wow.
trained most of them. So, I know who they are. They're good, So learn your craft, learn your market, use your tools at Power, knowledge base, not only for Puerto Rico when it's available, but for every market before you work it. I was nominated, I think I was number 2 at the emerging markets, as a closer, tier 3. And I do it because the moment Power announces a market and I'm interested, the first thing I do is that I drive myself in it. I study the market, I study the incentives, I study the utilities, their costs, their trends, and I prepare myself, and then I look for my first customer. And that one kicks off another one and another one and another one, right? And all of a sudden you have, 8 contracts in, I don't know, Pennsylvania. I've never been to Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
So
can I ask you a question about Puerto Rico? I was curious
Yeah.
about something. Is it true that because of the hurricanes and what happened in the past, that Puerto Rico, a lot of people don't have any power at all, and so getting solar is a big deal because they have intermittent power where it will turn on and off? Is that true about Puerto Rico?
Well, the intermittent power, it's a term that I would say can be used. Not everywhere, but we do have constant power outages due to, for example, right now it's summer. Just like Texas is having power outages due to energy restraints, Puerto Rico is having their same. The only difference is that Puerto Rico's infrastructure of energy distribution has been so much shaken by these hurricanes and so poorly repaired that maybe a little 30-mile-an-hour wind leave us without power for a couple of days in Puerto Rico. So we're very susceptible to having constant power outages. There's places in Puerto Rico that power goes out every day, 2-3 hours a day, 5 hours, 10 hours a day. Not island-wide, but there are sectors. So people hate that intermittency of energy, and they rather pay even a little more and have secure power, right? Independence from the grid, than paying 35 cent kilowatt hours and having no power, when you need it, you know?
Well, that makes sense. So having solar and batteries gives them a lot more reliability of having power versus relying on the local grid. So that's
Of
a lot
course.
better.
And let me tell you, people rather right now, where do you live? So
He lives in the Bay Area in
I
California.
live in Northern California. Sorry, I couldn't tap the mute button.
it's okay, Northern California. So now imagine that, you know, if you pay $300 a month on power and your power goes out once a day for 3 hours or 4 hours every day, and you're working from your house, so you can barely even work. So now if you can have a solution that for the same $300, you own your solar system, you own your battery, and you're, you know, fully resilient to anything that happens outside of your house, then it's well worth it.
Yep.
So right now you're paying for something that you don't even have. You're paying $300 a month and you are 4 hours of the day without power. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
So, you know, it's a great market. I would say that next 2-3 weeks, we should have a project, a county, you know, highlight for Puerto Rico, where we can highlight some of the cool things about Puerto Rico. Because on the other hand, they don't qualify for the tax credit.
That's right.
So then the formula is different. So now it's a market that don't have a tax credit and then has a big dependency on batteries. So people are not even really looking for savings. They're looking for power, my friend.
Yeah.
You know, numbers are really, well, numbers are important if you're competing with another solar company. For the customer, numbers are not really important because he's spending more money than what you're going to ask for, and he has no power and he has no reliability. So, you know, we're going to have a good show in Puerto Rico. You all have some ties to Puerto Rico and friends or family there. Start talking to your people. You know, we're really starting recruiting a little bit. We're going to start getting a little bit more very soon, and, you know, hopefully start taking over that island. And I think that 2023, Puerto Rico will be, if not the top market in power, right there at the top. Guys, for me, it's been a pleasure, Anthony. Thank you for having me. I always love to share with all you guys. You know, it's always good to be with a good group of people looking forward to, you know, getting value of getting better. So for me, I
appreciate it, Moises.
Moises, you deserve that spot on the stage, my friend. You're awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
And you're a great individual as well. Great human being.
Thank you. Thank you,
Moses, for everything. Appreciate it.
Yep, I agree.
You're wonderful.
Thank you, guys. Hey, if anybody need me for anything, feel free to reach out. Anthony, if you want, you can put my contacts there. If anybody has any questions or future things, you can, you know, feel free to call me. I'm available for anybody. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Great training. Very good. You held my board, man. You held my board.
Hey, you know, as long as we're bringing even a teeny bit of value to you guys, and you all got something, you know, all I ask for is that you know, just get something good out of it, right? That I could improve just a little bit what you do to make you a little better, right? If we do that every day with group people like this, my friend, in a year we're unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys.
Thank you, brother. It's been my pleasure, guys, to be here with you.
Hermano.
It's 10 o'clock in Florida, so I'm gonna start
Go
to
Mimis.
get up. Love seeing you, Anthony. We'll stay in touch. Write me this week, and then, you know, let's keep in touch. Okay, guys.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. Alrighty, guys. Great meeting. It was awesome from Mr. Moises.